What's up, Nerdyverse? I'm Daddy Louie, and in this video we are taking a look at a game called the Sable Scourge, so stick around. Before we get started, if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe for more content and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. The Sable Scourge is a brand new game up on Kickstarter right now. It actually launched on September 15th. It is being published by Brains and Brawn Gaming. It is for 2 to 6 players for ages 12 and up and takes around 60 to 90 minutes to play. It is semi-cooperative with a very clear winner at the end of the game, unless all of the players lose. It is played on an open world map, so it's not linear. You can do whatever you want on the table while you're playing. You're going to spend your turns moving and performing actions in order to clear out spaces, investigate things that are going on throughout the city, trying to upgrade your character, all while getting ready for the final battle. But if you aren't in the right place at the right time, if you don't move through the map in a timely manner, then you could trigger the end game early and not be prepared for the final battle against the Sable Scourge. But is it good? Well, if you join me on the table, we'll check it out. All right, so once inside the box, we have a lot to talk about, so I'm going to go through it pretty quickly. So we have our dials. There's 9 hero dials that show your health and your glory. Neither one can ever exceed 9. You start with 9 health and 2 glory. Glory is spent kind of like experience. You're going to use it to do different things, so you can earn it and lose it in different ways. This dial here is for the main villain, the Sable Scourge herself. So her starting health is based on how many players you have. And then you have a turn counter where you're going to go up and down in turns left based on different things that happen throughout the city. You also have your 6 characters or your 6 heroes. They're basically just little plastic standees, like with some stickers and stuff like that. Nothing too crazy, but still not bad. The colors are nice, and once you see the table and the board, they fit really well with everything else that kind of goes with the game. And then you have your attack dice. Battling in this game is very, very simple. Basically, you're going to deal damage to your opponent, or your opponent's going to deal damage to you based on which part of the body that they hit. So like in this case, this is the foot, which is like the least painful part of the body. So you're going to deal or take the least amount of damage with a foot shot, whereas the head is the most damage. Then you have, of course, your rule book. Not much to talk about there. The board itself is basically just like a thick cardboard, but in this case, I actually really like the board. It's very, very colorful. It's very easy to see everything that's there, and it's not ginormous. It fits really nicely in the box, and it makes the footprint of the game pretty small. Honestly, I like the board. Like I said, I like the board a lot, and we'll talk about it more in a little bit. But yeah, and then we have the cards, which make up the bulk of the components of the games. So we've got our hero cards. Each player gets a hero. You can either deal these out randomly, or you can, draft or whatever. Then you have your location and your location decks. So there are 6 locations, unique locations in the city, and at each location there is a nemesis, and there is a Sable Scourge attack card as well, an event card. So you're going to create a deck of cards with these 2 for each location, as well as 5 cards from the event deck, which I'll show you in a second. So you have all those for each of the 6 locations. And then you have some reminder cards, common icons on one side and quick reference on the other. You have the final battle. You're only going to use one of these each time that you play. It's basically going to determine where the final battle is going to take place against the Sable Scourge. And then you have your superpowers. Each player is dealt one of these. randomly at the beginning of the game, and this is common information for everybody, so these are not kept secret. Okay, then you have the big deck. The big deck is made up of sidekicks. It's made up of minions. It's made up of items that you can collect, and it's made up of events that do things. They either move the timer forward, move the timer back, different things like that based on your location. For example, if I draw this card and my hero is at is this person here, then I would get 2 glory, and we would get an extra turn added to the turn dial. If my character is not that hero, when I draw this card, then we just get an extra. So it's that whole right place at the right time thing I was talking about during the intro. And some of them are even crazier, like, yeah, we'll talk about those more in a minute. But I'm going to set up for a game, and I'm going to show you how it plays. Okay, before I set up the board, I just wanted to go over the different area locations, because these will be off screen once I explain how the game plays. So like I said, there's 6 specific locations, each with their own nemesis. The nemesis cards have 2 icons on them. One is the location that the nemesis resides in, and the other is the symbol of the specific hero that it is a nemesis for. So if a hero actually ends up fighting their specific nemesis and winning, they end up getting extra bonuses and stuff like that. Otherwise, it just pretty much counts as a regular minion. So when setting up, you're going to have each nemesis along with a Sable Scourge encounter card with their locations, and then you're going to take the other deck, which I showed you a second ago, shuffle it up with the sidekicks, the items, the events, and the minions, and then you're going to deal 6 cards to each of those locations. Then you're going to shuffle them up, and that's going to make those decks. So when you go to those specific locations on the map and you investigate them, you will not draw from the overall big deck. You're going to draw from this specific locations deck. And if at any time all of the cards from that location are gone through, then that location is closed, and you're no longer, it's cleared, so you're no longer able to investigate anything there. All right, so I'm going to shuffle these up. Like I said, they'll be off to the side. The other thing, too, is that you have these final battles. These are the locations, these locations here where Sable Scourge can pop up at the end of the game. So you're just going to draw one randomly and put the rest aside, so you don't know where she's going to appear until the end of the game, basically. So you'll shuffle these up individually, set them off to the side, and then we can set up the game board. All right, so here I have set up for a 2-player game, and once you have set up the game, the playing through is actually pretty simple to do. Now, just to note real quick, I've consolidated the individual location decks down, but I do still have them separated just so I know which deck goes to which location. This is just what I do to save space, basically, but everything is still set up like I just showed you. So here we have the Green Valor facing off against the Silver Streak. Now, they are on their starting locations marked by their corresponding symbols that's on their character cards. And these are also known as their safe houses. While inside of a safe house, you do not have to move. You don't have to go anywhere. Players can move through anybody's safe houses, but you can't end your turn there unless it's your safe house. So she can go through this spot here, but she can't stop there, and vice versa. So on your turn, you have to do 2 things. You have to move, and you have to take an action. Again, the only time that you don't have to move is if you're on your safe house. But other than that, you always have to move. You don't have to take your full move, but you have to move at least 1 space. So all characters start with 9 health. 4 attack, a range of 3, and 2 movement. And those can be increased based on the items and stuff that you have and the powers. For example, the power that the Silver Streak was given increases her attack range by 2. So her range goes from 3 to 5 automatically. And the Green Valor, for each health that he's lost, his damage stat goes up by 1. So if he's down to 7, then his damage stat would go up to 6, for example. So on your turn, you must move, you must take an action, and then you turn the round counter down. All right, so let's talk about movement. When you move, you can move in any direction that you want to, diagonal, up, down, back, left, right, etc. But if you move in a diagonal space, you must use 2 movement points in order to get there. So for example, I could go, my movement is 2 right now with the Silver Streak. I could move 1, 2, or I could move 1, 2. You get to the same distance, but it takes you the same amount of movements in order to get there, basically. So that's probably what I would want to do. This is a location that I can investigate here. So I'm going to spend my movement 1, 2, and then I'm going to take an action to see what's going on at that space. So let's talk really quickly about the actions that you can take. So one action that you can always take is taking a breath. That's in any space that you have. It doesn't cost you any glory, and you recover 1 health. Again, you can never go above your max health, which is 9. So in this case, taking a breath would do absolutely nothing. You can also heal up. So if the Green Valor was here on this hospital icon, which there's a few, oh, maybe there's not. Maybe there's only the one. I guess this is the only hospital in the city. Great. So if you're on this hospital spot, then you can spend 2 of your glory to heal 5. Again, that's kind of like your XP tracker, if you will. They call it glory in this game. You can never exceed 9 glory or 9 health, so just keep that in mind. Another action that you can take is seeing what's going on, and that's these event spaces here. They look like a little thumbtack, and they're purple, and there's several of them throughout the city. So you can go there and you can see what's going on. When you do that, you draw a card from the general deck, and then you do whatever it says, which we'll talk about these cards in just a moment. And then the last thing that you can do is you can explore the area. That's for the area locations, which are these designated places throughout the city. And that's when we look through these cards here. So for an example, since I have this up, if the Green Valor was on this lion location here, then he could explore that area, and instead of drawing a card from the general deck, he's going to draw the first card from that lion location, which would be this card here. And this is actually really good for him because he is that hero at that location. I didn't stack this, by the way. This is totally... So this symbol here means that if the superhero, which I am, is at that location, which I am, I would earn 3 glory and 2 renown. Renown is what we're going to count at the end of the game for victory points. So I would keep this card with me, and I would get 3... Like I said, 3 extra glory, which is really good. That puts me up at 5. And I would get 2 valor at the end of the game. So that was a really good move for the Green Valor there. Now over here at this location, investigating this location, I would flip over this card. And here I draw a regular event card, which I'll go ahead and talk about. So there's 2 different stat lines. The first, you need to meet a criteria. It's whatever criteria is written up here. And if you don't, then the bottom thing happens. So if the Silver Streak's strength is 7 or higher, which it's not, then I would get 1 glory and 1 renown. Otherwise, we lose a turn, and that's the whole group loses a turn, and I lose a renown at the end. So I'm going to collect this card to remember that I lose a renown at the end of the game. and we as a group lose a turn. So now we're down to 24 turns, if that was turn number 1. Then at the end of my turn, we would go down by another one. Okay, so that's kind of how that works. And once this gets to 0, the the Sable Scourge reveals herself at whatever location, and the final battle takes place. So you want to keep this high while you're still going around the city doing stuff. Otherwise, you're going to trigger the end game. Hopefully, that makes sense. So that's what you do. You spend your turn moving. Must always move unless you're in your safe house. You spend an action, even if it's just to heal yourself 1, take a breath, whatever. And you can always take a breath, right? So that's usually what you're going to do if you're on spaces that you're not close enough to get to, because early in the game you can't move very many spaces at all. So just keep that in mind. All right, so now that you know how to move around the city and take actions, let's talk about actually fighting, because most of the time when you draw cards, you're either going to get an event card or you're going to get I'm just going to get a lot of event cards now, or you're going to get a minion, nemesis, or Sable Scourge herself. And fighting her is, fighting them all works pretty much the exact same way. Okay, so here's how combat works, regardless of who you're fighting against. The first thing that happens is the player that drew the combat is going to get to attack first. And then everyone else at the table, if they're within range, engagement range of the enemy, which is the spot where the card was drawn, then they can also participate in the battle if they wish. Otherwise, they can move closer to get closer for next time, or they can rest. So in this case, the Silver Streak drew this minion here who has a renown of 2. So when you win the fight, you'll get 2 renown. He has a strength of 4 and a health of 7. So the Silver Streak is going to go ahead and do combat and roll the dice. And again, she starts with a base health of 4. She's already within range because she has a range of 5 because of her power, and she's already on the spot. And she rolled a chest. Chest is +3 to your strength. They have the the dice outcomes on the reference sheet here. And so my 4 + 3 is 7. So I will win this battle, and I will get 2 renown at the end of the game when I'm counting stuff up. Now, if I hadn't won and the Green Valor was within range, 1, 2, 3, I would have to been here in order to be within range. He would get a chance to attack. So let's say, for example, I did 5 damage to that guy instead of 7, then the Green Valor would get to roll, and he would take it out, and he would get the card, and he would get the renown. That's how battling works. The same thing works with Nemesis, and the same thing works with the Sable Scourge. The difference with the Sable Scourge is that her health is continuous throughout the entire game. So every time she pops up around the city, you can deal damage to her, getting her down lower and lower and lower, which will make the end game, the end battle, easier. Now, if for some reason you cannot defeat the minion, the henchman or the Sable Scourge when fighting, they will fight you back one at a time. They get to roll the die, and it will be their strength and then a different modifier. So in this case, the modifier from, actually it just changed. It's +2 on the card, but I think it's different now. But because they're still playtesting the game. So he would deal damage to the Silver Streak with his strength of 4 plus whatever his die roll is, and that damage would come off of the hero. So if for whatever reason your hero gets knocked out, then you have to take your player off the board. you're done with that combat until the next turn, and then when you come back to your starting position with less health, so you come back with 5. And if at any time all of the players are knocked out, then the Sable Scourge wins and everybody at the table loses. So the Sable Scourge herself, she's got 10 health, so she hits like a truck. So you definitely want to make sure that you avoid that at all costs. So yeah, but that's basically how you play the game. You're going to move around the city. You're going to investigate these locations, drawing cards, getting items, earning renown, earning glory, spending glory to do different things, keeping yourself healthy, trying to not get the final battle triggered before you're actually ready, kind of working with your fellow players to do all of this, but also keeping in mind that only one player is going to win based on whoever has the highest renown at the end of the game. And honestly, guys, that's everything that you need to know in order to play the Sable Scourge. There is a lot of stuff here in this small box. Usually when you think about games that have this much going on in them, you think about bigger boards, you think about bigger boxes, you think about more components. The footprint here is quite small. I could play this whole game with a few modifications right here on my desk with 6 players. Obviously, it would be tight sitting around a circle, but we could do it. The board is, compact. I would like to see miniatures. I mean, I think that would be cool if there was miniatures or more, I don't know, if they were actual standees that were like cut out in the shapes of the characters, that would be cool. But keeping with the small footprint, I think that this works out really well. The game itself is really fun. I think that I like the fact of the matter that it's real family focused, family friendly, and I like that they are focusing on it being semi-cooperative, but still giving you like a very clear winner at the end of the game, even if the villain wins. There's kind of an emphasis on the villain here. The villain can beat you outright, beat everybody at the table. And I think that that's pretty different. You don't see that in too many games. Most games focus on the heroes, with someone being the winner, whereas in this case, one person could win, but everybody could lose, which is really, really cool. There is a future expansion planned. There's a lot of component upgrades planned in the Kickstarter. Like I said, it is live right now, and you do not have to wait. You can go head over to the Kickstarter. I'll leave links to everything in the description below and back this game right away. Like I said, the components are great, and I love how much game you get in such a small footprint. All of the different art styles are very unique. Like the minions are a different art style than the heroes, which is a different art style than the main villain, which is a different art style than the nemesis. So there's all these different art styles, all these really cool comic book themed components. Even the box looks like a comic book. And look at the size of the box. I mean, you're getting a full open world game in this little box. So highly recommend. Go check it out. Like I said, don't wait. Let's show them some support and some love, because I can see the heart that went into this game, and I think you guys will really appreciate that. What do you guys think of the Sable Scourge? Let me know down in the comments below. If you want to see more from the Circle of Nerds, you can check out our social media. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, all at Circle of Nerds. Also, don't forget that we have a podcast that comes out every week called The Cosmic Disaster Show. You can find that right here on YouTube or anywhere that you enjoy listening to podcasts. We also have a new Friday night live stream on Facebook at 8:30 Eastern called Nerds on Ice, where cool nerds get fired up about today's hot topics. Go and check that out. And for an extra bit of love and affection to us here at the Circle of Nerds, please consider checking us out over on Patreon. at patreon.com/circleofnerds. Anyway, guys, that's all from me. I will see you in the next video.